Week 4 of the Joey Wright Show. I'm your host, Joey Wright. Once every season I talk about NASCAR, and this week we're doing just that. I was up until 2:30 writing my show last night. I'm really excited about what I've got. I've got a comprehensive kind of preview of the rest of the NASCAR season, kind of the outlook. I'm going to talk some storylines, give my top 5 moments from the season so far, and don't worry for my viewers who don't care about NASCAR, which I know far outnumber the ones who do. I've got a little something for you as well. Stick with us. It's the Joey Wright Show. Back after this. We're back on the Joey Wright Show. Once every season I talk about NASCAR in depth. NASCAR being my favorite sport, I like to devote the episode that airs closest to my birthday entirely, or almost entirely, to NASCAR. And this is going to work kind of similar to how it did last year. The 4th episode of last season, I also went in depth about the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing. I will give my outlook for the rest of the year, give my chase predictions. We're going to talk some storylines, and then also I've got planned a little video compilation of my top 5 favorite moments, or one of them's not my favorite, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. That's a whole different thing that will come later in the program. First, I want to start off. It was a fantastic week of racing at Iowa and Sonoma this past weekend. Obviously, there were no Cup regulars in the truck race, or I don't think there were any in the truck race, and I know there weren't any in the Xfinity race. I thought both races were very watchable. Obviously, watching William Byron take the win on Saturday, that man has a bright future ahead of him in the sport. Driving for JR Motorsports in the Xfinity Series. He's probably one of the next few up at Hendrick, as I'll discuss later. That's also its own discussion. And then, of course, the Sonoma race. I actually didn't get to catch very much of the race on Sunday, but I peeked in from time to time, and it was a pretty good race from what I saw. Obviously, Kevin Harvick took home the W. I think there should be more road courses in the series personally, as I will get to later. It's backloading my discussion with some of that stuff. But, yeah, Harvick won. I thought I heard a record number of lead changes for a road course, or for at least Sonoma, so it was good. It looked like a good race. I was busy, but I don't like to miss races like Watkins Glen or Sonoma, so I was sad. Let's see. Yeah, it was a big win for Kevin Harvick. He probably should have had the race at Atlanta. Got busted for speeding there with 10-12 to go, whatever it was. But a big win for him, and I look for the SHR gang to kind of turn it on in the weeks coming, as I will get to. But a big win for Kevin Harvick. That entire SHR gang, I thought Kurt Busch would have been a little better after his win at Daytona, and Clint Boyer should probably have a win by now, as strong as he's been running. But, yeah, it's just me. So let's get into our predictions and how this is going to work, because I'm going to run through who I think will win each race from Daytona through the rest of the season. Last year I only did Daytona through Richmond, Daytona through the rest of the season this year. And then I've got my chase predictions here. I was up until 2:30 last night just trying to figure out the math behind it. I didn't when I started writing my show, I didn't realize that the playoff points and stage points and all that would be as important as they are this year. So that was that. Got my kickstart because I am tired. As I mentioned, I was up until late. All right, so let's get started with Daytona. That obviously is the next race up this Saturday on NBC, the night race. Love that race. Love Daytona. And you look at the last 9 races there. The best average finish belongs to Denny Hamlin. I use the last 9 races for a lot of these races because that's how long they've been running the Gen 6 car there. You look at the last 9 races, Denny Hamlin, his average finish is 11.1, we could just say 11th. He's led the 3rd most laps behind Jimmy Johnson and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now, a lot of people are calling Dale Jr. to win. He's the media favorite, I think, or at least the sentimental favorite. I don't know if you call him the media favorite. But I don't think he's going to come through this week. I just don't feel it with Dale Jr. I'm looking at Chase Elliott this week. Daytona's a crapshoot. You can't really predict Daytona as you can the other tracks. But I like Chase Elliott. He qualifies well there. That doesn't mean anything when the race starts. But he's led 42 laps in his last 3 races there. I say last 3 because he's only run 3 career races at Daytona. His average finish is 27.7, so 28th. But that's not really his fault. The grass damaged his car. If you watch the 2016 Daytona 500, you know what I'm talking about. He was pretty close to winning the 500 this year. I think he ran into gas, and then I don't know what happened. I think he got caught up in the big one last year in the 400. But I like Chase Elliott. Hendrick runs strong at Daytona. He's hungry for his first win. He probably should have won at least one race by now, as strong as he is. But, I like Chase Elliott at Daytona. And now we move on to Kentucky, which is a lot easier to predict. Now, Kentucky, a lot of people know I'm no Kyle Busch fan, but I think he's got to break through at some point. I mean, he's going to win a race this year. I mean, we know that. You look at his average finish at Kentucky since they've been racing there, starting in 2011. His average finish is 5.2, so fifth. I think he's won. I know he won the first race there, and I think he has another win there too. So, yeah, I think he won there in 2015. Yeah, I don't know. But I know he's got at least one win at Kentucky. And he does have two. I got it in my notes there. Didn't see it. But, yeah, Kyle Busch is going to break through eventually. Why not at Kentucky? I mean, he's stronger than any other active driver there. And he's going to get it going on. Now, that's going to start a little Gibbs resurgence because he gets New Hampshire, who runs strong there, Matt Kenseth. Not only is he historically strong at New Hampshire, he won there last season, but he's run well at the short tracks this year as well. His best finishes, I believe, have come at Martinsville and Bristol, and he ran well at Richmond. I don't think he had the finish to back it up. But Kenseth's going to break through at New Hampshire. He likes the track. He runs well there. And coming off the Kyle Busch win at Kentucky, it'll be Matt Kenseth in victory lane in Loudon. Now, the Brickyard. This is, I put a lot of thought into this. And how about an underdog? Paul Menard won there in 2011, Ryan Newman in 2013. I don't know, I'm not entirely confident that this pick's going to come true. But how about Casey Kane? A lot of people don't know this. I certainly don't know this. He has the third best average finish among active drivers in the last 9 races at Indianapolis, behind Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson. And he's led the third most laps there in the last 9 races of any active driver, also behind Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson. He needs a win to get into the chase. He's not going to point him. He's not going to point his way in, and he's looking to keep his job. Head Hendrick, because you got guys like Bowman and Byron coming behind him. I think he needs a win. He needs a strong run. His recent trend at Indy isn't great. 2015 he finished 24th. 2016 18th, but he runs well there. He's never won there, but. You gotta be bold here, and I'm going with Casey Kane to take home the win at the Brickyard. And then we move on to Pocono. Pocono and Indianapolis, 2 tracks that people don't really enjoy. I like both, but that's just me. It's a track of parity. I mean, we see guys. You look at the average finish at Pocono. Excuse me. I was on Racing Reference, by the way, for all these stats. Great site. You look at guys like Blaney, Eric Jones, Dale Jr. They all finish well. Dale Jr. has the best average finish in the last 9 races of anyone who's run there. For all those races I mentioned, Blaney and Eric Jones run well. Jones finished 3rd this spring. Yeah, it would have been this spring. And Blaney won, but they've only had a few starts apiece. I know 1 for Jones and not a whole lot for Blaney. It's a track of parity. Kurt Busch runs well there. Only twice in the last 9 races has he finished outside of the top 10, 2015 and 2014. He still led part of that 15 race. I think he had a mechanical problem that sidelined him. Don't quote me on that. But I like Kurt Busch to win. I don't think Junior's going to break through. Blaney and Jones might be strong. Eric Jones might surprise people, get his first win in one of these races. I don't know. But I like Kurt Busch to take home the win at Pocono. That would be his first win since Daytona. I mentioned earlier I thought he would be a little stronger than he has been. But nevertheless, I think Kurt Busch runs well there. Why won't he win at Pocono? Answer me that. Watkins Glen, you don't need a stat for this. A.J. Allmendinger, he's going to need a win at some point. Although, as we'll see later, this win's not going to matter for my little playoff prediction. But, he runs well. He won in 2014. He ran well at Sonoma this Sunday, I was told. I don't know what sidelined him. But when I saw he was leading the race, in fact, when I did tune in for a little window, he and Chris Buescher, his teammate, were running 1-2. So, he runs well at the road courses. He's a road course guy. Allmendinger, it's just a fun name. I like him at the Glen, and I think a lot of other people do too. Now, that's not to say it's guaranteed or anything. A lot of guys are running strong at road courses these days. But, yeah, if it's not him, it'll be Harvick or Logano. We can play that game all day. Allmendinger, the Glen. Moving on to Bristol. Clint Boyer runs pretty well there, and I mentioned he should have a win by now. He's run pretty well. Trying to think. He's the fourth or fifth best guy there if you kind of look at all the stats among active drivers. And let's say about Clint Boyer. I mean, there's no real stat that jumps out that says he's going to win Bristol. But he runs well there. I mean, you look at it, and he's going to need a win. Well, in this scenario, because everything I'm talking about is building up to what I've got for the chase, or the playoffs as they're called now. He's going to need a win, if all this were to come true, to get in the playoffs, and I think he's going to get that win at Bristol. Let's see here. All right, Michigan. This is where the formatting kind of got all messed up. Michigan, I like Joey Logano. I could say Kyle Larson. I could say Chase Elliott. Kyle Larson's won the last 2 races there. Chase Elliott's finished second, I think, 3 times in a row there. But Joey Logano runs strong there, too. His win at Richmond, remember, was encumbered. That means that his car failed post-race inspection, and he didn't get to keep that win for the playoffs. So he's going to need a win to get into the playoffs, and he's going to get that win at Michigan. He's strong there. I believe he won last fall or last summer. Take a sip of my drink here. I think he won last fall there, summer, August. And I think he finished 4th there in the spring. So I think, Joey Logano, he is going to turn it on as Gibbs is as well. And watch out for him at Michigan. Now, going to Darlington, I mentioned the Gibbs cars are going to have a resurgence. Denny Hamlin, best average finish of any active driver there. But I'm not just going off average finish. I mean, it'd be easy for me to just go down the line. Best average finish, winner here, best, I'm not trying to do that. Kyle Busch hasn't won there since 2008. Runs very strong there. It's just his kind of racetrack, and I think going off his win at Kentucky here, I think he's going to get another win before the chase. I don't think you want to count him out because I think he, and to a lesser extent, Matt Kenseth, and maybe Denny Hamlin. I mean, Hamlin hasn't had great speed, nor has Kenseth, and Kyle Busch has been very fast. But they're going to, at least 2 of them are going to win some races eventually. I like Kyle Busch at Darlington, and maybe keep an eye on Denny Hamlin as well. But in this scenario, we're rolling with Busch at Darlington. And at Richmond, Harvick and Logano, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, they have the 2 best average finishes at Richmond over the last 9 races. But between the 2, they've led relatively few laps, 119 for Harvick, 190 for Logano. I like Kyle Larson at Richmond. You look at his last 3 Richmond finishes, 11th, 12th, and 2nd. The last 3 Richmond races that have been contested at night, 11th, 12th, and 2nd. That's good for his average finish at Richmond is 11.7 over the last 9 races there, period. I remember watching the fall race there last year, and I think he came from like 14th to 2nd on the last restart. Maybe not quite that far deep, but I mean, it was impressive. I like the way he runs. Richmond's a good track, multi-groove racing at a short track, and it's just Kyle Larson's sort of track, I think. Well, his sort of track is one where you can run the outside and all the way around, but as far as short tracks go, Richmond and Bristol, he can run very well at both of those. So I like Kyle Larson to win the last race before the chase at Richmond. Let's see what time we're at here. All right. 10:37, so let's get this moving here. Let's recap. I got Chase Elliott at Daytona, Kyle Busch at Kentucky, Matt Kenseth at New Hampshire, Casey Kane at the Brickyard, Kurt Busch at Pocono, A.J. Allmendinger at Watkins Glen, Clint Boyer at Bristol, Joey Logano at Michigan, Kyle Busch at Darlington, and Kyle Larson at Richmond. So that gives us this after the regular season. It would be Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Matt Kenseth, Casey Kane, Ryan Newman, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Austin Dillon in the playoffs. Sort of in that order. I don't expect it to change too much. seeded by wins, I think, and with the playoff points. That's how they would be seeded, 1 through 16. 17 different winners in this scenario, but A.J. Allmendinger would have far fewer points than even Casey Kane for that 16th spot. I guess Casey Kane would be seeded 16, but yeah. A.J. Allmendinger missed the cut even though he has a win, and then Jamie McMurray and Denny Hamlin would be left on the outside as well. Playoff points-wise, Martin Truex Jr., 23, Busch 17, and then kind of goes on down. I'll put all these, I'll blog or something, all these standings for you so you can pull that up and follow along. But if you don't know how playoff points work, I really can't explain it in as much time as we have. The stages that they've divided the races up, you get 5 playoff points for winning the race, but if you win a stage, you get 2 playoff points. And I've got to point out that my math is it's not very scientific. I might have awarded more stage points than can actually be won. I just kind of added some points to who I thought would win some stages before the chase, so we'll see. I was up really late writing this. So, we move on to the round of 16 in the playoffs. We've got Chicagoland, New Hampshire, and Dover in that order. I like the winners in this round to be Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, and Kevin Harvick. Keselowski and Harvick because they run strong at tracks like Chicago and Dover. Kevin Harvick especially so at Dover. Not lately, but I think he'll turn it on. And then I like Kyle Busch just to keep his trend of success that we've established rolling. So, missing the cut after this round, pretty much the bottom 4 in the seeding, Casey Kane, Ryan Newman, Ricky Stenhouse, and Austin Dillon. They just aren't strong enough, I don't think, to contend with the likes of, Harvick and Busch and Keselowski. And with the stage points, I think maybe the guy I would be a little concerned about, Kurt Busch, he's got enough of a cushion. 6 extra points over, I guess 5 extra points over Casey Kane, and then 6 extra points over everyone else. So missing the cut, Casey Kane, Ryan Newman, Ricky Stenhouse, and Austin Dillon. That moves us on to the round of 12, Charlotte, Talladega, Kansas. Let's establish who we've got left. Kyle Larson, Martin Truex, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Keselowski, Clint Boyer, Logano, Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Ryan Blaney, Matt Kenseth. I just gave away the order of which they will finish, but we'll get to that. You look at how many playoff points they have going into it, 31 for Larson, 25 for Truex, because I've got them getting some stage points in the round of 16. A little spoiler here, I think Kyle Larson and Martin Truex have amassed such a lead with stage points, even already, if they just keep up what they're doing, that they will make the round of 4 kind of regardless. Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson. Okay, so missing the cut here, I have Kevin Harvick, even though he has 15 stage points, Kurt Busch, Ryan Blaney, Matt Kenseth. You've got to go with some of these guys. Some of the obvious choices you've got to eliminate, I think. Even with stage points, even with the bonuses people have, they're little cushions. Harvick, to me, he just seems like that guy. He seems like the obvious choice this year that's going to miss the cut. You look, Talladega's unpredictable. Charlotte and Kansas, you're going to have all these guys that are hungry for wins. I've got the winners in this round as Kyle Busch, Joey Logano. I left the third winner. The third winner is not going to come from the chase at this point. Maybe that's Dale Jr. at Kansas, even though I don't think Talladega, even though I don't think he's going to win this season. But, I've got Casey Kane winning Indianapolis, so that's what, take my word for whatever. Harvick will miss the cut. He's going to have a bad run. Kurt Busch is going to have a bad run. It's not going to be a good time to be at SHR, Stewart-Haas Racing. Ryan Blaney's going to miss the cut, and Matt Kenseth, I don't think has shown enough speed either to have him in my round of 8. But moving on, Kyle Larson, Truex, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Keselowski, Clint Boyer, Joey Logano, and Chase Elliott. That gives us the round of 8. I killed some trees with this script. 5 pages. We got Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex, Jimmy Johnson, Keselowski, Logano, Boyer, Elliott, Harvick. No, not Harvick. Harvick was already eliminated. But I do think Harvick will win Phoenix. Eliminated after this round, Keselowski, Logano, Boyer, and Elliott. I think Jimmy Johnson's going to take home a win at Martinsville, put himself in the round of 4 again, second year in a row. Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson, let me tell you, you don't want to bet against them. Actually, part of the reason I'm doing this is because I alluded to the fact that I thought Jimmy Johnson would win the title last year on the Joey Wright Show, and in fact he did. I was correct. I think Martin Truex Jr. is going to win at Texas, and as I mentioned, the winner at Phoenix will be Harvick. He'll come from outside of the chase because at this point he's eliminated. Now, Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch, I think Kyle Larson's got enough stage points now. He's in the good. Kyle Busch, he'll have enough stage points by this point because they carry through the chase. You can accrue them once the playoffs begin. He's got enough to where he's in the good. Martin Truex Jr., you look, I think he'll have enough stage points anyway to where he would be good, but he's going to win at Texas either way. And then Jimmy Johnson, he's going to take home the win at Martinsville, even though Brad Keselowski would probably nip him on stage points at this point. I've got him as having, well, I guess the win would give Jimmy Johnson as many as he needs. And missing the cut, I mentioned Keselowski, Logano, and Boyer, as well as Chase Elliott. I think Keselowski, Boyer, and Elliott, and maybe even Logano will get a stage point here or there, a playoff point, whatever you want to call them. Just because I think the action here is going to be intense, I think, because they're all going to be trying to catch up to Larson and Truex. But I just don't think they have enough to get past them. So, that gives us the final 4. Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., and Jimmy Johnson. And this is where I think you kind of got to look really at the stats at Homestead. You look at the last 3 races there since the chase began. Jimmy Johnson is the best of all drivers of these drivers at Homestead. I wouldn't have guessed that. He's finished 9th twice and 1st once. That was last year. Kyle Larson, the second best of these drivers, 13th, 5th, and 2nd in the last 3 races. The third best driver is Kyle Busch, 39th in 2014, but then he won 2015 to win the title, finished 6th last year. And Martin Truex Jr., 17th, 12th, and 36th. Remember, he was involved in that big crash with Carl Edwards last year in the closing stages. Now, remember, the winner of the championship at the last 3 years is one Homestead each of those years. Harvick in 2014, Busch 2015, Johnson 2016. Not sure if that'll have to happen this year. I mean, I don't think it'll happen every year the playoffs are implemented. But I like Kyle Larson to win the chase. I like him to win the championship. I like him to take home the trophy at the end of the year. I mean, you look, he's got the playoff points now. I think his road there is clear towards making it to Homestead. And he runs well there. It's a track that he can run the outside. It's got progressive banking, which means the banking is higher on the outside of the track. It's easier to run the outside, fits his driving style. I wouldn't be surprised if Johnson or Truex or Busch were to take it in this scenario, but I like Kyle Larson to win the 2017 Monster Energy Cup. That's it. So that's the rest of the year, in my opinion. We're going to have to close this part of the show down in hopes that we have time to get to something else. But that's how the rest of the season is going to shape up. You heard it here first on the Joey Wright Show. We're back with something else after this.
Wish someone would tell me what was right. All night long, and there's something very wrong, and I know it must be late. Been gone since yesterday.
Here we have my top 5 moments from the 2017 season so far, beginning with number 5 with the Geico 500. Here we see first the big one involving Chase Elliott, AJ Allmendinger, and others. You see Allmendinger get into Elliott a little bit, and then it's on from there. I actually jinxed Allmendinger right before that happened. I remarked to a friend how well he was doing, running third, and you see the result of that. And then later in the race, we'll get to in a moment. Still upside down there. We see Ricky Stenhouse here leading the pack, his first career win, and the first win for Roush. I believe it's Carl Edwards. Maybe is that Sonoma 2014? I don't know, but broke the long drought for Roush. This is a pretty good finish. He took down Kyle Busch and hurried down the late charge and others. and took home his first win. That's why the Geico 500 for the big one, and it's good finish. Clocks in at number 5. Now here we see it. Kansas, this big wreck, actually took out Eric Almirola, injured him for a few weeks, so I feel a little bad for including this at number 4, but certainly a very newsworthy incident here, in which Eric Almirola, I believe he fractured a vertebrae in his back. Took him out a few weeks. I mean, nothing that he won't recover from, certainly. He should be back in the car 2 weeks from now, I think is what they said. Maybe Kentucky. As we're going to see a replay here. Something broke on Joey Logano's car, you see, and he's going to clip Danica Patrick into the wall.
Danica took a heck of a ride into the wall.
Big incident there for Danica.
Plowed in there.
Yeah, he had nowhere to go. I think he committed to the outside.
Nowhere to go,
lane.
slides into him, and I believe it's when he landed.
Almirola sitting in his car. He hadn't quite gotten out of the car yet.
Certainly we wish Eric Almirola the best in his recovery, but that incident clocked in at number 4. This is, in my opinion, the number 3 moment of the 2017 season. Austin Dillon had several first-time winners this year. We've had 3 of them, Tim Blaney and Stenhouse. But just the way he did this, put the 3 back in victory lane on fuel, it was a great conclusion to this race. I was watching this race with my dad, and I kept saying, there's no way Dillon's going to make it on, there's no way he's going to make it. There's no way he's going to maintain enough speed to defeat Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr., but he did just that. Put the 3 car back in victory lane, the 2nd win for Richard Childress this season. The first win this season came at Phoenix. Number 2, Ryan Newman defeated Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, and others at Phoenix. This was a fantastic race, fantastic conclusion. Kyle Busch probably should have had this race won, but caution got him. On strategy, Ryan Newman stayed out the last caution. He's going to take home the win. Forcing him out in a late charge. Maybe if he had a lap or 2 more, he could have got there. Didn't have that lap or 2. Newman, the number 2 moment of 2017. Takes home the win there. Number 1, and I don't think this should be a surprise to anybody. Las Vegas. Good finish. Martin Truex Jr. here. Brad Keselowski had a problem. That gave the win to Truex, but that's not why this is on the list. This is exactly what we're going to see here. You see Kyle Busch and Joey Logano. Keselowski rather, was used as a pick. Logano there takes out Kyle Busch. Truex comes to the line to win. Busch slides, photo finish for 2nd between the 2 Penske guys. But this is why it's number 1 after the race, captured by Jeff Gluck. Kyle Busch not happy with Logano, and here they go. Altercation. Busch started it, didn't get, probably wasn't as successful as he wanted to be there. See Logano restrained. Going at it there. Someone's going to come in here real soon and restrain Busch. There we go. Busch not happy. Still trying to go after Logano. Restrained by a NASCAR official. And this was all over the news the next day. Big story from NASCAR. Weren't able to capitalize on it, really, but certainly got them in the news for a few days. And that's why it's the number 1 moment of, I guess, the Fox portion of the 2017 season, the second half, beginning in Daytona this week. It'll be a fun ride. Those are my top 5 moments of the 2017 season so far on the Joey Wright Show. Joey Wright Show next week. I will be in Atlanta. So I'll be there for an Astros-Braves game. That's part of why I wore my Astros shirt jersey, or jersey, if you will, today. Even though I wore my Rangers one last week, and I am more a Rangers fan than an Astros fan, I have this as well. It's a Dallas Keuchel jersey. So I'll be in Atlanta. Next week, no show. We're back in 2 weeks on the Joey Wright Show. And I recognize that most of my viewers, predominantly the ones in Urbana, don't care much about NASCAR. I get that. So I leave you this week and for the next 2 weeks with this little clip of me and my brothers teaming up to save a bird that had fallen into a little pit outside of my bedroom window. Thanks for watching the Joey Wright Show. All right, so this bird fell in this little ditch outside my window. Not a ditch, but you know what I mean, outside of my window. And we're going to rescue him. See, he just can't fly out. He's been trying to do it all morning. and it woke me up several times. So we're gonna save it. Because I value my sleep. Come here, little guy. I got you. I got you. Okay. Hey. Okay. Can I? Come here. Come here. Get in the dust. Get in the dustpan. Come here. Come here. Okay, jump, jump, jump. Oh.
Did you hurt him?
No, I didn't hurt him. He's hurting himself. Cooperate. Okay.
Joey, you get this. You lean the stick.
No, Tommy.
No, he'll just climb out.
Stop. Here, little guy. Here, little guy. Come here. Just hop in the dustpan and I'll scoop you up. That's all we gotta do. Come on. Get.
It's not gonna work.
You can't do this yourself.
Wait, let me try.
Stop. Oh, you want to try?
Yes.
Well, no, you're not wearing shoes.
Joey, no, I'm gonna get a stick. Joey.
Okay, lean the stick in, Tommy. This isn't gonna work, and you're gonna kill a bird. I'll help. Come here, little guy. Look, there's a stick. There's like a ramp for you. Tommy, it doesn't even see the stick. It's like, come on, it's probably blind.
Do that.
It
Wait.
doesn't do it much. Come here, I got you. Attaboy! There you go!
Get the stick away from me.
There you go! There's a bird! That a
Fall in
bird!
the other one.
Good
Don't
job.
fall in the other one.
Huh?
He's about to fall in the other one.
Yeah, well, he doesn't.
He's so confused.
Yeah, he doesn't know what's going on. This was his world, and now he's... What's he doing? No! No! No!
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yay!
Oh, he's stupid.
Oh, that was not the smartest way to go about that. What? Oh.
I'm gonna end it.